I am your host. We'll start over. I'm your host, as always, Jeff Harvey. This is Star Trek Europa. Eva is mad and has decided that I don't need to have sound today, but there, we got it fixed. Let's start.
You turned her voice off. She's just getting back at you.
Yeah, exactly. Legit. That's all right. It's absolutely possible. Links in the things and all the places. It's Linktree, Studio Temple, plus all the other things. I'll throw up a link in the chat now that I have it up and saw that we didn't have sound. So let's go ahead and go back to Brian. Brian, go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about what you had to plug.
My name is Brian. I'm playing several characters, including Jessica Page, the operations officer aboard the Europa. The only thing I have to plug is that on the 27th, I will be running a one-shot of Avatar Legends for Jack's charity stream, which I'm sure he'll go more into detail. 27th, Avatar Legends.
Awesome. Evelyn, let's try yours again.
All right. I'm Ev. You can find me on TikTok at Caffeinatrix. I am playing Dr. DeSavio Nayat, our CMO and XO. I'm also playing Lieutenant Fiona Mills, one of our security officers, and Ensign Rebecca O'Connor. I am no longer on St. Pete by Night every other weekend because my Gangrel met a very untimely end, but you can go back and watch that streamed session. It's dated July 8th, and still keep going, checking them out. They're telling some really amazing story over there. I'll be back eventually with a different character, just not on stream right away.
You're still doing admin over there, right? You're still doing okay. So you're still over there doing. I am no longer a part of St. Pete by Night at all, but I still recommend everyone enjoy it. I just don't have time. I didn't have time for it, but I think everyone should have a good time and go over there and check it out. And my friend Kent runs that, and good people. So, Jack, you're up.
Yes. Hello. I'm Jack. I play Captain Arani Ambrose along with all kinds of awesome other characters that we might see later on today. But this is not all I do, as Brian has already mentioned. I am in the midst of running a July month-long charity drive for reproductive rights and abortion access. It's just something I believe very strongly in. It's a very important issue. And I think we all need to come together and raise as much awareness and, most importantly, as much money as we can for the organizations and the people who desperately need it right now. So you can find more information on that over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/The People's Ascension, and over on our Twitter, where you can find me at PPLS Ascension on Twitter, because the whole thing didn't fit. We have, let's see, I do actually have my little poster here. If you can look down in my box over here, we're already on Tuesday. It's already Tuesday and we're playing Star Trek. Tomorrow, that's the 13th of July. At 6 p.m. EST, we are doing Alchemical Romance. It's basically fantasy breakfast club. It's going to be a good time. And then on Thursday, we have a game of Monster Hearts 2 run by Zoe Trooper, who was just on season 3 of RPGs Uncovered, which is my main endeavor, but that is on hold for the moment for this charity drive. Usually what I do, and I have season 4, we're on season 4 already, season 4 coming up in around mid-August of RPGs Uncovered. That is a series dedicated to showing just how quick and easy it can be to learn a new TTRPG. So come hang out on my channel, raise some money for the National Abortion Federation and the Center for Reproductive Rights, and have fun with some cool games. And your donations can affect the games with things like buying rerolls and giving cool, powerful items and making it more difficult. You can learn about that elsewhere, because right now we're here to play some Star Trek Adventures.
Right. And speaking of Star Trek Adventures, I, as I said before, am your game master for today. My name is Jeff Harvey, and I have been running Star Trek for some time. I fully support Jack in this fundraiser that you guys are doing, and I'm so glad to be. I believe we're a part of it. Yes. Actually, good reminding me. If you are watching on my channel, twitch.tv/The People's Ascension, or if you're not, go over there, because you can scroll down. Just right down below, there's a banner that you can click on, or a link right below it to hit the donations. I actually have a bar right here on my little box right here.
Normally when we hit one of those milestones, cool things happen. I don't know if Jeff is willing to do that for this game.
Throw it out there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So normally I let people buy rerolls for $5, $25 gives something cool to a player, and $50 makes it way more difficult.
Yeah.
By helping the GM do crazy things. And when we hit $250, right now we are at 100. What does that say? 1,565 at the moment. When we hit 250, there's a giveaway of all kinds of cool prizes.
Nice. I do want to give a warning for this episode. There may be some discussion of sensitive topics for those who are sensitive to bodily autonomy type or medical procedures. This episode may or may not have some of that stuff in this episode or next episode. So just a heads up for that. Star Trek has never been one of those things that has ever shied away from this sort of topic. And I don't want it to shy away from it either. I had a great idea and I'm hoping it comes out well. So with that and the lack of sleep that I've had in mind, let's go ahead and do a recap. Anybody want to go with what we did last session? Kind of a lot happened, I think, last session.
Yeah, so over the last couple of weeks, we have been investigating the loss of the Bellerophon in the space anomaly. We found it to be a wormhole. The away team sent into the space anomaly to investigate was whisked away to the Delta Quadrant, where their shuttle crashed. They found the planet to be occupied by Borg, and we're having a hard time getting off the planet. There was a good deal of interpersonal drama abounded.
Someone got shot by another PC.
Yes.
That was the time before last.
Yeah, but he said in the last couple of weeks, he said.
Gotcha.
Feelings were
three
hurt.
Somebody's almost got, completely abandoned by another PC.
Yes.
Feelings were hurt. People were shot. You know how it goes.
Right.
And then, but they managed to get whisked back to the Alpha Quadrant? No, Beta. We're in the
Beta Quadrant.
Got whisked back to the Beta Quadrant through marvel of engineering, where they managed to get rescued at the last minute. And that's where we left off, was just after their safe arrival back on the Europa.
Anybody else want to add anything to that? There was
we did a lot of psychic-y stuff running around in Kendall's head, with some very interesting scenes starting out on Beta Z, when Kendall was all the wrong age, as Asavi was returning home from the Dominion War, and then moving into a Jem'Hadar POW camp full of cadets who seemed very unperturbed by the Jem'Hadar.
Yes, although Ambrose did seem perturbed by it, and it seemed that it seemed very familiar to him, as we recall.
Yes.
Definitely some mental bleed going on there.
Yeah.
And finally winding up in some strange dungeony location with a monster that Ambrose fought, and which then turned into Kendall and said she was very concerned because she has to stop it, and it killed them all. Creature in the cage we couldn't see seemed to grow bolder with the guardian gone, and then through some very clever medicine, Delphine woke us all up.
Yep.
We, on the bridge, Mills was prepared to permanently close the wormhole, as we'd gotten word that there was confirmation there were Borg there, and gave Hong and Yezabeth one chance to use the daisy chain and transport them out.
Do some very fancy transporting.
Mm-hmm.
First time anyone's been transported, as far as we know, across quadrants through a wormhole.
And seems to have gone
that we know of
successfully. Everybody appears to have come back with all the right parts in the right places on the right people.
So far as we've checked.
So far.
And in the process, I believe that there was an explosion and Tong was injured. and taken to sickbay, which I believe is actually where we ended up leaving. Pretty close to where we left.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody.
We're definitely not starting with Tongo.
No, we're not starting with Tongo. All right. So anyone else have anything they want to add to that? If not, we can go ahead and jump right in. All right. Who's got their opening scene? What do you guys want to do? We're not doing Tongo, obviously, because Tong is in sick bay. Yeah. Anybody got anything?
So one of the things that happened towards the end was Captain Ambrose left sickbay before being fully checked out.
Yeah.
So I think a good scene to start would be Delphine insisting on giving him an examination to make sure whatever mind entrapment had gone on has no ill effects on him. Sound good, Jack?
Sounds good to me. What about you, Jack? You're good for that?
Does Delphine go through Dasavi, or is the nurse trying to insist that the captain come down to sickbay? Do we want to play that out, or do we just want to start at the examination table? And
I was picturing her going to you personally.
Okay.
She comes to the bridge.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start there.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. And then everybody can be involved.
Yep. Yeah, so when we last left the bridge, Mills had given the order as Ambrose was coming in. Got her. She doesn't know if we got our people back or not. But no, we finally did. We did the status report at the end, but not knowing she'd ordered the wormhole be destroyed. Got the status report. Saw the captain and got up out of the captain's chair and saluted, or whatever.
Whatever Starfleet does.
Whatever Starfleet does. Captain of the bridge. Welcome back, sir.
I think we already played out a small scene there, and I don't remember exactly what it was, so I can't read it.
No, we'd already played it out. Just refresher for where we were.
Yeah.
So Ambrose is probably like sitting in the captain's chair, and Delphine comes in to do her thing.
Yes.
So Delphine is carrying a medical case, and she's going to walk in with the door giving a swish, and she's going to say, "Captain, if I may have a moment, you never did let me finish my examination."
So we're establishing this is like right after the course of events.
Within a few minutes of, maybe 10 minutes at the most.
I would say after the red alert has ended and we've got work or whatever. Statuses
are back in, like the ship is now back to the school. We are aware that everyone is back. Tong has been injured. We're aware of all of that happened. The wormhole is clearly closed. The ship is in no immediate danger that you're aware of anyways.
Okay. But we have not yet received our new orders.
No. We'll do this scene first, then we'll do the break, and then we'll jump forward a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay. Lieutenant, I'm sure this examination, this follow-up can wait until we are out of crisis mode.
It might be able to wait until we're out of crisis mode, or it could cause crisis mode to last a good deal longer. Surely you can spare 5 minutes.
Will this take 5 minutes?
4 if you behave yourself.
Okay, Lieutenant. My ready room.
She nods and follows. She quickly pulls out her medical tricorder and begins doing a scan. And she says, as you'll see in my full report, I wrote up the medical side of what happened. I must ask, do you have any idea what that fourth brainwave may have been? She's going as she's talking.
I think there's a level of informality happening at the moment And not just at this moment, but in the past as well, that needs to be addressed. I was hoping our new first officer and your immediate superior could handle that. However, now you come onto my bridge and ask that I behave appropriately.
Yeah, I simply meant that if you cooperate, the examination will go faster.
I appreciate that you have the crew's health as your top priority, including mine. However, I should not need to remind you, Lieutenant, that you are a nurse. Whatever new responsibilities that you have taken on because of Dasavi's newer promotion, we will have to discuss as a group, as part of a promotion hearing, perhaps, more solidifying of these duties. But until that is the case, you are not in charge of overriding my calls for medical reasons or interrupting my bridge because of such.
Well, if Captain, may I remind you that you did discharge yourself from sickbay after a medical emergency without so much as consulting whether such thing would be safe. I think we can each forgive lapses in the midst of lapses in formality in the midst of a crisis situation.
You've seen my record. You've seen how many times I've gotten up from far worse situations and far more dire situations. So if I can stand, if I can command, I will be at my post.
I see. So you believe that there's no ill effects of a four-way mind meld with with at least one completely unknown party, and you believe that you would simply know if something was incorrect, if something was wrong with you.
I trust my senior staff.
And I'm asking you to submit yourself for a routine examination post a medical emergency.
And I'm asking you to follow the proper procedure next time.
I will submit my request in triplicate next time then. Now, I do not, luckily for you, I do not see anything that causes immediate concern. I will ask the chief medical officer to carry out your examinations in the future if you'd find that more suitable.
Proper place and proper time, Lieutenant. That's all I ask. I appreciate your diligence.
I would hope that you do. And she'll close her case, and if that's all,
dismissed.
And she'll head off.
All right.
Ambrose will walk behind his desk, put his hands on the ovular window looking out. Ship full of children.
All right. Things have been quiet aboard Europa for the last couple of days. Everything appears to be back in running order. Ship's back up and running. Crew members are back and out of sick bay and whatnot. Tong's got a few residual burns and whatnot, but he lived. There's been a lot of tension aboard the ship for the last few days. A lot of, I think, built up pressure between the situation that's been going on with the command structure and the situation that's been going on with being in the Expanse for as long as the ship has really been out here, and all the other stressors that are going on. When the ship gets new orders, which I believe Ambrose has a thing for. Yeah, new captain's log.
Yes. Yeah, so this is a few days later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll just say I'm actually in my captain's quarters instead of the ready room or anything, just to set the ambiance. And I'll pull out
got your own fireplace aboard a starship, which makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Of course, yeah.
I do love that set, but oh my god, it doesn't make no sense.
Nothing in the Star Trek has ever made sense.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Love it. Anyways, go ahead.
So I'll look out one of those big windows in the officer's suite. Out, I assume we're making our way away from.
Yeah. You're setting your rendezvous.
The maelstrom.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I see. We've actually rendezvoused. Okay. So
you're either rendezvoused or rendezvousing with shortly. So
right. Okay. I'll pull out my data pad and begin recording. Captain's log, stardate 53529.3. Europa will be heading out of the valley. We've made some incredible new discoveries, and I'm sure we'll be back for even more. However, Admiral Aralani has reassigned us to Starbase 173 detachment and would like us to address some of the more routine concerns of Starfleet in that region. I don't feel that's the best use of this ship, but I'm eager to be in the area, and the crew needs some downtime. We'll be rendezvousing with the USS Mackinac shortly, under Captain Sobel's command. A Vulcan with a solid record during the war, a man whose logic is very strict, even by Vulcan standards. They'll be taking over the primary research duties in the Valley over the next few months, along with a handful of science ships, both civilian and Starfleet. Matilda will be taking on some guests from the Hidal, a species that's been very friendly to the Federation since first contact. Captain Saval and the Admiralty have managed to sign a technological exchange with them. As such, they'll be performing several upgrades to the Europa that I'm told will increase our efficiency. Told it's merely programming and reworking of things that are already in place. But I plan on having my people oversee the detail.
All right. Before we have the meetings, did anyone want to throw anything in there? Do you want to throw anything in there, Ambrose, or do you want to get right to the meeting?
It's not anything I can play out, but Ambrose would like to assign Secret Agent Tong to oversee these all of these refits.
Okay. No problem. That's totally doable. Excuse me. I imagine Koval or Coaster would also be involved in some of that, but Tong obviously is the one who's going to work with most.
Coaster's playing the role he's supposed to play, whereas Tong is playing Secret Agent Tong.
I gotcha. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and we'll have the meeting happen in the not the forward lounge. Where's that place? The words I'm trying to use in the conference room. That is the word, conference room, those things.
Together we have a brain cell.
Yes, I managed to figure out one. So in the conference room, Captain Saval, who I do have a picture of here, Captain Saval.
S-U-V-A-L or
S-O-V-A-L, Saval.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, their Vulcans don't get real creative with their spelling. There you go. In case you guys didn't have a picture, that should give you a picture of him. Anybody who wants to be there or the captain, specifically doesn't want to be there. Anyone who wants to be there can be, unless the captain specifically has people they don't want to have there. But it will be Soval, and the Hidal will not be there just yet. But
sorry, is this this is just a conference room meeting? It's not like dress uniform.
No, just a conference meeting. Yeah, no, this is because this is not meeting the Hidal just yet. This is any chance for Soval to answer questions that you guys have without them being present.
Okay.
So the Mackinac comes alongside, and Captain Soval beams over. The Mackinac, I believe we determined, I have that written somewhere, but it is a Federation ship, obviously. I used to know what it was off the top of my head, but I don't anymore. 7th Fleet Command Structure. Go to that. I didn't write it down. I think it's a nebula. But anyway, it comes alongside, and Captain Soval radios over and beams aboard. And he's a stoic, Vulcan-y type person, obviously. Commander Ambrose, greetings. Gives you the Vulcan. Peace and long life to you.
Captain Soval, live long and prosper.
This is the Europa. I have been studying your ship's design. I find it fascinating. How have you found working with the artificial intelligence?
It's been an interesting journey. It's almost like having another member of the crew constantly around.
Fascinating. Shall we begin?
Of course.
Some months ago, the Mackinac encountered a group of people known as the Hidal. The Hidal are a race of technologically advanced people. They are spacefaring, but they do not use warp technology as we see it. It is some form of quantum warping technology that is beyond Starfleet. As part of our ongoing collaboration with these people and our ongoing efforts to befriend them, Starfleet has come to an agreement for technological exchange in exchange for some technologies that we have in the replication and matter transferal departments. They are providing us with energy efficiency information, technology that will help make our engines and our systems far more efficient than they are. For the Mackinac, which I must admit has older technology than Europa, our efficiency has increased almost 73%, which is remarkable. There have been no new installations. It is all with existing technology that is replicatable on ship, as well as programming changes. Dr. Joanne has been a remarkable mind to deal with. You'll be working alongside, Dr. Joanne will be working alongside two assistants, and one of the assistants has their child with them, who is undergoing some sort of training in the mechanical side of things, a young man. Do you have any questions, Captain?
How has your crew handled these upgrades? Do they come with any new user interface learning curves?
There is some delay in the customization, acclimatization, that's what I'm looking for, of the new Alcar's layout. However, they've all taken to it within a few days. I run a tight ship, and we've had to do several additional training exercises, but most everyone has had no problems.
I'll have my XO draft up a roster for such exercises. What sort of downtime are we looking at here? How long will we be in the shop?
For the most part, the Mackinac never lost any significant time. The engine upgrades were the most difficult. They took approximately 2 days. All other systems were able to be
bypassed, for lack of a better term, during this repair time. Sensors did see a decrease in efficiency at first, whilst the installations were being done, but we did not lose significant fidelity.
All right.
I must state, Commander or Captain, that these Hidal are they are an advanced civilization. Their social structures are somewhat unusual for humans. While they do not have a class system, they have something similar. While it is not as rigid or structured, there is certainly a hierarchy of intelligence. They favor the intellect over almost all else. It's actually quite refreshing.
That's good to know. I'll have them meet some of the engineering and scientific heads while they're here.
Excellent. If there's nothing else, Captain.
I understand you'll be taking over our previous position in the Expanse out towards the Maelstrom.
Indeed.
The Cornucopia Valley, the Valley of Plenty.
The Valley of Plenty, yes. Indeed. I am looking forward to some of the to extending some of the research that you have already done. These people, they seem to be interesting, and I have never seen any of the RN in person. I am intrigued. I am somewhat concerned, however, that you have encountered more hostile life forms.
Yes. That region is, like everywhere else, full of wonders. But it's uncharted. That's the reason we're out here. But there are anomalies. That whole region, we believe, was created from some massive, ancient, malfunctioning power source. And more so than that, there's the Bishari. We have little to no information about them, but from all accounts, the local inhabitants of the region, they're a force to be reckoned with. I'd advise keeping a close watch, especially on the civilian ships. Make sure they don't stray too far from the herd.
I will take that under advisement, Captain. I look forward to reading your reports on the region.
Likewise.
If you'll excuse me, I will provide the Hidal their direction over here.
Of course. Thank you for the briefing.
Thank you, Captain. He kind of nods and does the live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.
All right. Anything anybody wants to do while we're setting up the next scene? Or they have a side scene they want to do while setting up the next scene? Okay. The next scene would be probably in the shuttle bay, which is where they're going to come aboard as they're coming aboard by shuttle.
Remind me who these people are again.
The Hidal?
Yeah, we've seen them before. We went to their planet. No,
you have not experienced the Hidal yet. Yeah, nope, they're a new race.
Okay.
And I spent on a day trying to find pictures for these because I didn't realize, I forgot that when I found the pictures, the race that I found pictures of have no male characters. Oh. So I had to find one male character.
What was that other race that we saw that reached out to us for first contact, and they were slightly superior? They had a gun that could shoot outside of their system. That's all I remember. They don't have anything to do with this.
This is not them, though.
Okay.
Yeah, not them. This is a complete
on a technological level, or from the reports, are they even beyond that? how advanced to Starfleet standards are we talking here?
So they're probably half a century ahead, maybe a little bit more than that. But the big difference is they use a different kind of technology than Starfleet when it comes to warp technology. They don't use antimatter conversion. They use a quantum drive of some sort. It's similar to a quantum slipstream drive, which Starfleet's been working on for a long time, which is one of the reasons that Starfleet is so interested in dealing with these guys, because their ships are significantly faster than Starfleet's ships with longer ranges. Weapons wise and stuff like that, they're not that much far more advanced, and they lack some of the more advanced matter replication systems that Starfleet has. Starfleet is very good at matter replication. Whereas this group they have matter replication, but they are not as advanced in replication as Starfleet is.
Okay.
So that is the exchange, is in exchange for efficiency in power systems and engine usage of the current systems that you guys have. Starfleet is providing them with more advanced understandings of matter replication. So
cool.
This would be a dress uniform situation. This is one of those rare occasions where, like, you could play 5 characters in a single scene. Foxwell will also be here. Although
I feel like it would definitely make sense for Dasavi and Mills to be there. I don't think O'Connor would really have any place there.
Yeah, Silva's probably not there. Define's probably not there. Kendall probably isn't there. Tong was there because we have a special reason for Tong to be there. Kostra.
I don't think Kostra would be there.
No, you don't think the chief of engineering would be there?
Yeah, he should be there.
Look, unless like he's not one for diplomatic functions. If Ambrose ordered him to be there, he'd be there. But I do not think he'd be in a rush to put on that dress uniform. You know?
Kostra's been ordered to squeeze himself into his dress uniform and stand there politely for the 15 minutes it'll take to get through this introduction.
Right.
I say if Ambrose doesn't order him, Dasavi's going to order him, because it's poor form for our chief engineer to not be there to greet the
engineering
party.
Let's see. I imagine Yezebeth would be there just because she is the de facto head of operations at the moment. And then Gisa probably is not there because she doesn't have any reason to be there. She doesn't matter enough. Well, she's probably in the brig. Well, not yet.
Speaking of brig, do we still have a Romulan bartender in our brig? We kind of dropped that storyline.
As far as I'm concerned right now, he's at Narendra Station. He will be coming. Okay. He will be making an appearance this season, but he is not here yet. He's aboard Narendra. As far as anyone knows, he's aboard Narendra.
Also, Ev, was that you that just donated?
Yeah.
Awesome. I heard the sound, but I didn't switch over to see the name. But I just see on the receipt it says calf.
Did you donate enough that we have to make something special happen?
Yeah, $25.
All right. I'm let Evelyn take over the story at some point.
Oh God.
Yeah, so that's a powerful boon for the players, whatever that means to you.
All right. We'll see if we can throw that in there somewhere. Let's denote that with this one oversized token of momentum that we'll stick somewhere over somewhere. We'll stick it right there and use it when you're ready. All right. So when they arrive, the shuttle lands. The 4 of them being step out of the shuttlecraft, and there's a jovial nature to them, well, at least to the young boy and this one goes with that one. And the one that the young boy is closest to, which you're guessing based on what Captain Saval told you is probably that person's mother. Dr. Joanne, you can see the spellings there in those. Do you guys have all those on your screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. They're all dressed in very nice uniforms. For those of you who want descriptions for the audio podcast, these are the Asari. I think it's what they're called from Mass Effect. And I just stole pictures directly from Mass Effect. So they are blue skinned with the tentacle hair. They're dressed well. They carry themselves with a rigid, not rigid so much as like a postured people. Dr. Joanne steps forward and greetings. It is allow me to introduce myself. I am Dr. Joanne of the Hidal Department of Research. These are my associates. Niala, she is my chief researcher for power systems. This is Alira. Alira is my leading mechanic. She will be working most closely with whatever engineers you have to implement physical changes that may be required aboard your ship. And her son, John. John is in training to be a mechanic's assistant. It is good to meet you. And she goes to do some kind of gesture with her hand and then stops herself, looks at her hand and then reaches it out to shake your hand.
Reach out. It's a pleasure, Doctor. Please don't forgo your own custom here as well. How may I greet you?
She says, it is fine. It is a complicated, we'll be happy to exchange the information, our greetings another time. It requires some subtlety and nuance that humans struggle with at the moment. It involves...
Well, perhaps we'll have some time during your visit.
She gestures to her head a little bit. It revolves more body language than you're capable of.
Very well. Well, it's a pleasure to have all of you here on my ship. I've heard very good things about the upgrades you've performed on the Machinal.
Excellent. Captain Saval has been a very interesting person to work with. His intellect is uncommon amongst other species, we have learned.
Yes, the Vulcans do have that way about them, and Captain Saval is a fine Vulcan.
Would you like to begin work immediately, or is there something my crew could get, my team could find quarters perhaps?
Well, let me introduce my senior staff to you, and from there we'll get you set up with accommodations and we can get to work. You will most likely be working directly through... Here's my XO, Commander Desavi.
Commander.
Savvy steps forward. Doctor, pleasure to meet you. We have arranged quarters for you according to the information in the brief. However, I do understand that sometimes nuances, as you put it, get missed. So I would invite you to inspect your quarters and let us know what changes.
Of course.
What is she picking up off them empathically?
A little trepidation, mostly just the nerves that you get from first contact kind of situations, and not first contact, but meeting new people. There is some light tension in Alira, and John appears to be kind of absent-minded. He's there, but he's well, you can't read Tong, but kind of the way Tong appears sometimes. Not scatterbrained, but preoccupied with other things.
Okay.
Niala is mostly a little bit dear God, do I have to be here for this kind of thing? Same thing you're getting from Coaster, probably.
Okay.
I had to put on a uniform for this. I could be in my shorts. I could be laying in a hammock in the engine room doing nothing. Anyway, that's what you get from them.
Okay. I'll motion over to Kostra, and this is our chief engineer, Lieutenant Commander Kostra. He'll be overseeing the he'll be supervising and probably learning from a lot of these refits. Kind of give him a wry side eye.
Coaster will wipe his hand off on his dress uniform, extend it, and he'll say, "Yep, I'm the one who you're inconveniencing with this whole scheme."
Dasabi shoots a warning look at Kostra. She had a warm smile that was being directed toward Alira and was about to say something, toward Niala, was about to open her mouth to say something to her. And at that, just shifts really quickly to Kostra with this expression of your words.
Niala smiles a little bit.
I'm kidding. Monkeying around with adding alien tech to engines, what could possibly go wrong?
Niala smiles a little bit and extends her hand, and Lieutenant Commander Kostra, I hope we don't inconvenience your engines too much. But I suppose it'll be an interesting experience to see what you've done with them. I see that you are an impeccably clean individual, and I expect your engine room is the same. She's got there's definitely a wry smile on her face, so she's clearly teasing you.
Yeah, I think he looks a little bashful at that, and he goes, "Well, I'm happy to show you around. It's probably the best engine in Starfleet."
I look forward to it.
Or it's about to be. Of course, you'll also likely be working with Lieutenant Tong here, one of our upstart, brightest engineers, specifically with focuses in transporters and replication and in electroplasma power systems. I'm sure you'll be able to utilize him in a number of different ways.
Alira goes a step forward to say something and is promptly cut off by John, who kind of darts forward and looks really way too close at Tong, is well
hello.
Inside Tong's bubble. You're a Ferengi. I've never seen a Ferengi up close.
I've never seen, what are these? The Hidal up close either. Hello.
Hello. He goes to touch your ear, and then Alira says, "John, no." He pulls his hand back real quick. Please forgive him. He is very enthusiastic, Mr. Tong.
No, that's fine. Most people, when they meet Ferengi, it's straight to the lobes. They are quite impressive.
Yes, we have seen several Ferengi in the past, but never this close, and never in a Starfleet uniform for sure, certain.
Yes, one of the few, making a good name for my people.
She gives a look over to the doctor for a second, and then there's a definite sense from the empath to the empaths and to the doctor, who's straight up telepathic, that there's some trepidation in Alira, but it is quickly silenced by an oppressive demeanor from the doctor. And Alira kind of nods, and I look forward to working with you, Mr. Tong. I believe that you will be the one we work most closely with if you are the hands of Mr. Kostra.
Right. Kostra's hands. Yes. Sure. I don't think he's ever put it that way, but yes.
Don't go letting me go to your lobes, Jim.
Right. Well, I've made a number of my own modifications myself. I'd be happy to show you show you all about them and whatnot. I'm fascinated to see what you're able to what you're doing with all these upgrades. And we'd probably want to bring maybe Yesbeth on for programming. She's better at that than I. But mechanical engineering and all of that. We have an impressive ship, and I'm sure with your help it'll be the finest in Starfleet.
Yesbeth, who I'm guessing is also there.
Yeah. She is just kind of frozen, she looks extremely awkward. Yes, Yesbeth, that's me. Hello. Yes, Yesbeth H.
Right. Well, there'll be more time to meet the individual engineers and science staff that you'll be working with later. I'm sure you'll be able to work with Dasavi and Kostra to help coordinate whatever assets you may need.
Of course. I am looking forward in particular to seeing your computers, your ship's computer systems. I am told that you have a number of life forms embedded in your systems. I look forward to seeing this.
In their sense.
Foxwell is like, they're not alive, but I can show you more when we get time.
Well, I'm sure that all can be arranged. We're under no strict timetable as far as I'm aware, but how long do you plan on being with us at the Europa?
Dr. Joanne takes out a pad that looks fairly similar to your pads there. It's similar in construction, but kind of the difference between like an iPad 1 and an iPad Pro, like as far as styling and whatnot goes. She taps a couple things on her screen, and I have to review your ship's systems. I do have access to your I will need access to your ship's engineering specifications for these systems. And she takes another, she gestures to Nyala, who pulls them out and hands them to Kostra. Once we have this information, we have a chance to review it. It should take, if it's anything like the Mackinac, no more than 6 days to complete the majority of the upgrades.
Kostra reads through it, and just there's a series of escalating noises. He goes, as he just cycles through it.
Well, I look forward to reading the reports. And again, Commander Dasavi will be able to take care of whatever accommodations you may need during your stay here. If you'd like, I can have a tour of the ship be made available to you.
The doctor says, that would be most appreciated.
Well, I won't keep you. I believe that's those are all the introductions in order. Commander, can you show our new guests their quarters and see they have what they need?
Yes, sir.
All right, Foxwell leaves, Mills leaves. I'm guessing Kostra's out of there. The captain's out of there.
As soon as possible. Yezebeth stays until after all they've left, and only when that happens does she visibly relax.
Okay. Are you waiting till everyone leaves, or just until everyone, the important?
Until the delegation, until they're gone.
Yeah. Okay. Stick around in sick bay in shuttle bay for a little bit. So the team is going to follow Dasavi into the halls and around. I assume you're doing not a full ship's tour yet, but just this way to your quarters.
Yeah. And as along, the best hall is here. And
right.
This is our forward lounge.
As you're discussing things in the hallway, you find that Nyala is pretty quiet. The impression you get psychically anyway, telekinetically, is that she's just kind of bored with this work. She doesn't really want to do this. But she's here, she's going to do the job. This is kind of beneath her, dealing with these lesser life form technologies. Alira, on the other hand, she still has a pensive vibe going on. And John is clearly just ecstatic. He's looking at everything. He's touching things he should not be touching and being lightly disciplined by Alira. You would gather that John is probably, in human years, probably close to 14. Ball of energy, and not super bright by the way he talks. But the doctor doesn't seem to really pay any attention to anybody else in her party. They just they're doing their thing, and Alira is handling John, and Nyala's kind of doing her own thing. The doctor is kind of, I don't want to say tired, but above, kind of separating herself from the drama that is her team, and just trying to focus on, talking and walking with you. And she doesn't seem overly impressed by the ship, although every now and then you'll get a sense of like she's trying to repress her the level of impressed she actually is. Like clearly she's actively keeping down her expectations for what she's seeing. So at some point, as you're walking through the ship, John kind of moves up next to you. So I hear that you guys have these like rooms that replicate whole like worlds. Can I see one of those? I want to see one of those.
Well, we don't have one of those on the ship. That would be... The ship's not quite big enough for that. We do have, in your rooms, replicators that can make anything you could ask for.
You guys do have holodecks.
Of course.
That's what she's referring to.
Oh. Gotcha.
Like they play like games and stuff. You guys don't have those. That's too bad.
Oh. My mistake. Yes, we're talking about our holosuites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they called them. The Mackinac had them, but they weren't available. I guess they weren't functional. Somebody had gotten killed in one recently, and they weren't available to be used. Did yours kill anybody? Has yours killed anybody yet?
No, and hopefully won't. Something we have fail safes in place so that even if you were in a scenario where you were injured inside the holodeck, it would be make-believe. And when the program ended, all of your injuries were gone.
That's really cool. Can I do those, Ma? And Alira looks at him and maybe. We'll have to see how things go. You're here to work and to learn. Forgive me, Dr. O'Neill. Do you have any children?
I do, too. One of mine has recently been assigned to the Europa.
My condolences. She smiles a little bit.
I rather enjoy it.
I
has its challenges, of course, but there's something special about getting to work side by side amongst your kin.
I agree, but they can be trying. And she kind of grabs him and pulls him away from a console that he's starting to fiddle with.
That they can. Mine is a bit older than yours, I believe. They do eventually grow out of this. It doesn't seem like it, but I promise they do.
She smiles again. You get to her quarters areas, and the door opens. The Europa has very nice guest accommodations, especially since the ship doesn't have a full complement of crew. A lot of what would be officers' quarters or diplomatic suites have been modified to be larger and more opulent because you don't need to staff crew in them. You got something, Brian?
We do have the modular compartments. We could have configured those for a diplomatic mission.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, they're definitely there's some opulence. This is probably one of the nicest ships, especially for its size. Clearly, for its size, it's one of the most impressive ship's quarter, accommodations wise, in the fleet currently. Alira and John look at the quarters, and John just kind of runs in and starts poking the replicator and asking for various human foods. In fact, he puts it that way: "Give me various human foods." which the computer's confused by.
You have to be a little more specific.
We've worked with replicators before, Commander. We'll sort it out. These accommodations look to be adequate. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Doctor, if you don't mind, turns to Dr. Joanne. She just kind of nods slightly, doesn't pay a whole lot of attention, just nods slightly, and then Elira closes the door, and you're left with the doctor and Niala. As you're walking to the next person's quarters, which would be Niala's, Dr. Joanne says, "You are a doctor of medicine, yes?"
Yeah.
Do you have any experience dealing with non-human species?
Well, being a non-human species myself, yes. Your species specifically, no.
You are not human.
No, I am Betazoid.
That might explain your eyes. I had not seen a Betazed yet. I've heard of them. You have the ability to read minds.
Yeah.
There's a definitive uncomfortableness that comes from that revelation. Mostly in the doctor. Niala doesn't seem to care. As you walk up to Niala's quarters, the door opens, and Doctor, if you don't mind, I'm going to try to get a little rest before any of these proceedings proceed. The doctor again nods with a little bit more of a little bit more awareness of her than she had of Alari, but not a lot. And there's definitely a dismissiveness of it to her. And then Niala closes the door. I look forward to working with your ship more, Commander. It is unusual, I think, I've heard, for a doctor to be in command of a starship in the Federation.
It is an odd circumstance. We lost our captain unexpectedly while we were quite far from any of our outposts. So when former League Commander, now Captain Ambrose, found himself swiftly promoted, he dragged me along miles. It's been an experience, for certain.
I see.
My skills lend themselves quite well in many ways to the position.
But neither you nor the captain are in the positions that you were assigned to when you started aboard this vessel.
No. I was and still am the chief medical officer, and the captain was the...
I see. Well, I believe we are here, yes, Captain Commander. I would also like to get some rest before any additional formalities are had. We'll get to work as immediately as we can, but once your chief engineer has provided us with the information we need, we will be able to proceed. In the meantime, if you have any requests from us, we are at your disposal.
Excellent. And likewise, if there's anything you need, by all means, let us know. If it would not be too much of an imposition, I would like to get some of your medical, not your personal, but your species medical data on file should we ever run into the Hidal again, and hopefully, fingers crossed, only ever in ideal circumstances, but were there ever to be an emergency, having basic anatomy and things of that nature on file would be incredibly helpful.
I will have Elira come to your sick bay and provide you with information she can.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Doctor.
Good night, Doctor.
Good.
All right. Anybody have anything they want to do?
Tong wants to go to every area that they expect this team to focus on and make sure it is perfect.
Gonna spend the entire night cleaning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that? I'd imagine that might even bother Kostra. Like he's not only doing like full level 1 diagnostics on everything. He's like taking out the rag and making everything shine.
I think at some point he will go. He'll go, Tom.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't matter how much it shines. It matters how much energy you get out of it.
Right. While the diagnostic is going, I figure I might as well make it look nice too. Some species actually appreciate aesthetics.
Do you, Tom, my boy? Let me teach you something right here.
Right.
Do you know how you can tell a good engine from a bad engine?
It works.
No. Yeah, I'm talking about at a glance. The clean one is the bad one.
Not sure about that.
Yeah, because the good one gets used. That's my point. A little grease on the gears makes it work, or makes it look like it works.
They don't really use grease anymore, sir.
I'm being figurative, Tom. Although a little actual grease never hurt anything anyway, but that's not here and there. What is here and there is if you really want to impress these people, let's impress them with our machines.
Right. Yes. That's what I'm doing, sir.
That's my boy. And he is similarly going to make sure that the machines are all in working order because he wants to impress that mechanic of theirs.
Okay.
Although he cares less about aesthetics and more.
I imagine Tong is finishing up on one area and moves to the next one, and then Kostra comes over and starts poking things with his big greasy hands.
Yeah, I think he deliberately smudges some things just to make sure that it looks like it works.
Yep.
He just takes out a grease gun and just wipes grease across one of the Elcar's panels. It's a protectant for the glass. It doesn't show smudges this way. All right. Anybody else have anything else they want to do in the downtime? This is a good opportunity for anybody that has any scenes like Kendall or Jisa or the captain or Dasavi or Ezbeth, anybody like that wants to do anything before we jump into any additional scenery.
Do we want to have that scene with Kendall and Dasavi now?
Good.
Is now a good time for that?
Sounds good. So, I would imagine that Kendall would have spent at least a couple of days in sickbay. I think all the away team probably did. They went through a thing, but I think Kendall probably is away from the others. So I think at some point she's just gonna Dr. Oniet, she says to her mom,
Hanson.
Am I cleared to go back to duty?
Your scans are coming back clean. You are looking considerably better.
She kind of gives a half frown, and she says, "Well, maybe soon I'll start feeling better."
Still not quite feeling well.
I feel like I have this pulsing in my head. I don't know what happened. What happened when you went inside?
Did you not have the same vision?
No.
Interesting.
I still can't feel anything from, and she'll gesture to like her head, and she'll say, whatever you can do, whatever the captain can do, I can't do it. She'll say, whatever you can do, whatever the...
When we first arrived in, whether it was your head or some sort of shared psychic space, we were at home. And I had just gotten back from the Dominion War. Rather odd that we were at home because, well, I mean at home on Beta Z, not on the Starbase where we actually were. And you were quite young, probably about 10 or so. And then when we walked through the door of the house, we were in a Jem'Hadar camp. But your...
Jem'Hadar camp?
Yes. I'm guessing the home was obviously my own psychic projection. The Jem'Hadar camp, probably the captain's. But your cadet class was there. Your academy class was there, and you included.
Oh.
You asked me. Well, you did not. One of the Jem'Hadar asked me what I thought of this cadet, indicating to me. And then when I gave my appraisal, you asked if I made you proud.
Oh, geez. I think she just looks away. She's like, not even sure how to respond to that.
Dasavi will kind of gently put her hand on her face and guide her face back and look her in the eyes. You do. You always
have. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad I do. Sometimes I worry.
Understandably so.
Did the captain tell, or did you read my report about what happened on the surface?
I have not read it as in depth as I would like, but I have hit the high points, as it were.
I would like to formally request that I not be placed on any duties with just as it should be.
I think that is a fair request, given what happened. One, I will do my best to accommodate, but I can't make any promises. This is a small crew.
Well, I know I don't want any special treatment, but she did shoot me in the middle of a mission.
She did. You're not wrong. And that will be dealt
with. I'll trust you to do the rest.
There was more.
More?
The final room space was a a dungeon of sorts with different creatures locked behind cages or cells. At the end was something very loud and angry and unseen. We were attacked by some sort of, I think it was a monster you would draw as a child. A bear with wings and nasty, sharp teeth.
I remember that. You said you saw it in a cage?
No, I think it was keeping what was in the cage at bay.
I think she's going to touch her head and she says, "Yeah, do you have any painkillers?"
I
think she's going to touch her head and she says, "Yeah, do you have any painkillers?"
Don't mind me.
Okay.
I think she's going to touch just something light. I want to go back on duty, but I got this massive headache all of a sudden. It's getting worse.
Is she still hooked up to the monitors?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. What's the readout showing?
Do you want to answer this, Jeff, or shall I?
Go ahead.
I think it's definitely showing like a spike in like. I think there is a part of the brain that only beta Zeds have that is like responsible for their empathy abilities, and I think you're showing like a spike in activity in that part of the brain.
Holding the hypo, she looks up at the monitor. And she lowers her hand slowly, almost absently. When the captain vanquished the beast after it attacked us, it turned into you. And as you lay broken on the floor, the creature in cell grew louder and seemed to grow stronger. And you were very concerned. Frightened. You said it killed them all.
I think maybe I'd better stay in sickbay a little longer. And I think she pretty much lays back down on the bed and closes her eyes, obviously in pain.
I won't push. As your commanding officer and the CMO of the ship, of course, I do have to insist that you consider, or that you continue seeing the ship's counselor.
Okay, sorry, could you say that last part one more time?
That you continue seeing the ship's counselor.
Yeah, sure.
As your mother, I would ask when you're ready. And perhaps when you're ready to face it yourself. You tell me what happened in school.
There's nothing that wasn't in my there's nothing I have that isn't in my file. I don't know why you would think that there'd be more. I wrote everything that happened on Titan Base.
I believe You're keeping your telepathic self at bay. You said you had to stop it. It killed them all. If you look here, she points at the readouts. That's your empathic core. There are significant spikes. Every time your head pulses, every time you wince, that spikes. Something happened. You got that walled off for a reason.
All right. I'll see the counselor tomorrow.
Right. In the meantime, rest.
Thanks, Mom.
Of course. She will administer the painkiller and make further notes in the chart and head out of medbay.
Thanks for the scene. That was great. Thank you.
Nice. Maybe that's everything they want to do. All right. Let's jump to. I don't want to do talking yet. Let's do Kostra first. Close that. Kostra. And Niala. She will be coming down to. It is the next morning. They have had a chance to go over some of the documentation that has been sent to them. And Niala is getting an early start, heading down to main engineering, where I'm assuming Kostra is still smudging things.
I don't think he spent a good deal of time actually smudging.
No, I know.
But he was definitely still fiddling with his the stuff in the engineering.
So the question, I guess, is: are you there late or are you there early? Because it's that time frame where she's getting there either really late for someone or really early for someone.
I think early. Yeah, early makes sense.
Excellent. She comes down engineering. It's fairly quiet down engineering this time of day because, you know, you're nearing the end of the third watch. And not a lot gets done in third watch because, you know, the ship's basically asleep. Or at least the main scientific portions of the crew and whatnot are asleep. In the system down in the engineering, there are a couple of diagnostics that are running that are pretty typical routine things that Eva runs on a weekly schedule. Just efficiency scans for the couplers and the nacelles and that kind of stuff. Nothing unusual for that Kostra's used to seeing. And he might get a little irritated that she does it all the time, but it does take some of the workload off. And it's a routine scan that you guys would have to do anyways. So
I think I would insist on doing it anyway, which might be why I'm here early.
Right. Maybe kind of arguing with Eva. But you're limited to probably only 2 or 3 other engineers in engineering right now. The rest of them are out doing whatever it is engineers do this time of day, fixing replicators that weren't making coffee correctly, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, probably just emergency maintenance stuff.
Right. Well, this time of morning, no coffee is pretty much an emergency. She comes in and she's got something she's got her pad and something that smells pretty potent in a cup as she comes in. Smells like it kind of almost like ga with that kind of almost animalistic, wormy, earthy smell. As she comes in, she looks up and sees Kostra in the engineering system. It's a section, probably by the big pool table there. And she looks taken aback for a second. She's like, "Oh, I was not expecting anyone to be here. Mr. Kostra, Lieutenant Commander, is it?"
Yeah. Lieutenant is Lieutenant or Commander, either is fine.
Oh, it's good to see that you are here so early. I was coming down just to get a look at the system. I like to familiarize myself with the engineering systems, the engineering section before I begin work.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here then. Wouldn't want you to trip over any cables or anything.
She looks around on the floor, like looking for cables that she could trip on. I didn't think that Federation ships used. I thought most things were taken behind panels.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, I see.
Well, so you're the mechanic, right?
I am the technical engineer. I am not the hands. I am less hands-on than Elira, but I am also, I guess, what you would call a mechanic. I am more of what they called on the Mackinac. I am more of what a chief engineer would do. I'm a designer of ship systems.
Ah, you're one of the cloud minders.
Somewhat. I have worked my way up to this position through the ranks, as Elira is currently trying to do.
Would she get that reference?
No, probably not.
Yeah. Feel free to ask.
Yeah, she just kind of blew it. She clearly, like, there's a look of confusion in her face, and she kind of just stumbles past it a little bit. Like there's a curiosity in her face, but she also probably be a little bit embarrassed to ask about it.
Well, he'll tell her anyway, because he's looking for the opportunity.
Sure.
He's going to say, back where I come from, there are two kinds of people on the world. You got the dirt miners on the surface of the ground, and you've got the people who live in the city on the clouds. Tell everybody what to do, think they know everything, never touched or in their life. But God help you if you think that you know how to do it better than that. So that's what I'm saying.
I see. She gives us a smile. Like, no, I have mined the ore in my day.
We'll see about that.
She kind of smiles a little bit. So I take it you are a very hands-on engineer.
Always have been. Always have been. Back in my day, before I joined Starfleet, I was in the trenches myself. Not a single pipe got laid that didn't have my grubby hands on it.
I see. She looks around. It's like the engineer of the Mackinac was very much a hands-off individual. He was excellent at command, but I feel his engineering technique was lacking. Let's take a look at what you've got going on under the panels here, shall we?
By all means. So he'll begin pointing out certain things, especially like he'll proudly exhibit any changes he's made, tweaks, that kind of thing. Not afraid of showing off at all.
Right. After a few minutes of that sort of thing, a few engineers walking in and out, and you guys going over the various tweaks that you've made. She looks over at you and she kind of gives a smile. I see you've crossed the induction manifolds with the recycling compensators. It appears to have increased your efficiency. Per specs, almost 15%. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, it'll mean they have to be replaced a bit sooner in the life cycle, but that's a fair enough trade as far as I'm concerned, especially in the age of replicator maintenance.
Indeed. And I think we might be able to get that time down. She jots a couple things on her pad, and you can see her clearly doing, like, you can see her eyes moving very quickly on the pad, and she's clearly doing some pretty high-end math, and she hands you the pad after a few seconds, and I believe that this would help reduce the maintenance time on this particular system. Rather than having to replace it once a month, you would have to only replace it once quarterly. Your ship uses a lot of regenerative systems, and I think that we could utilize some more of those regenerative functions to extend and prolong the life of many of your systems, increasing the efficiency not only of your staff, but the function of your ship as well. She smiles and kind of turns and starts typing, poking at something else in the panel area.
He'll reluctantly go, I think you might have something here. All right. Tell you what, as soon as my crew gets here, we'll do a test run on the redundant systems. See if it works.
Of course. At which point she you can see that she's definitely has some level of impressed. You have managed to show her that you are definitely the mechanic that she was hoping you would be. So at least that's the first impression that you get.
Good. Yeah. He'll smile back at her.
Put all this back over here. Meanwhile, who do I want to go with here? Yeah, we'll do Alira. Alira heads into sickbay about the start of the normal shift. I'm assuming that we'll have Define there for sure, and I know that Dasavi wanted to be there to deal with this particular. Why does it keep doing that? Just stop doing that. Just bring this over. That's all I want. Me? I'm trying to bring the tokens up. I keep clicking on the characters rather than dragging the tokens over, so it brings up the whole page rather than just the token.
You're probably just double clicking it.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm doing. But Alira comes into sickbay. She's got a couple pads with her, and I assume Define is probably the first person she sees, since Define is probably the charge nurse on duty.
Sure.
I was requested to provide medical information per Dr. Juan. Your doctor requested information regarding the biology of the Hadal.
Of course. Right this way. She'll lead her in to meet with Dasavi.
Doctor, it's good to meet you again.
Excellent. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate the information that you're willing to share with us. I know this can be a bit awkward and invasive.
It is not unusual. I've spent a great deal of my life around doctors. So I prepared this information for you, and she hands you a pad. This is the general physiology and anatomy of our people. It is likely imprecise or uncalibrated for your systems.
That should be a fairly easy enough fix. She will plug it in or magically download it, send it through the space cloud, whatever the hell they do.
Give it to Eva.
Yes. Eva, can you take the information that Alira has generously provided us and what we can do about calibration while we have a resident expert with us?
Information has been downloaded, Doctor. In order to calibrate the machines accordingly, we will need to perform scans on an actual biological creature.
Alira, would you be opposed?
She pauses for half a second, and you get a distinct impression that she is not a fan of doctors. Get that impression.
A lot of time around.
Right.
Usually people who say, I've spent a lot of time around doctors, are not a fan of doctors.
Yes. Yeah. Once you get to meet them, they're all terrible. But she nods and says, of course.
Very much appreciated.
Go ahead and give me a roll. This will be a difficulty 0 roll since you don't have the technology, and this will be to help build some momentum and ask some questions.
I'll have to give you a roll. Where's my roll?
Reason or control and medicine. Internal medicine would be a thing, as would xenobiology, and Daphne can assist.
Okay.
Did reason medicine? Would you say?
Or control, either one.
Either works. We are only rolling 2 of those. I'm going to. Okay.
Because I'm assisting you, you may reroll 1d20.
I'm not sure what the chief medical officer's thing is. I think you just always have proper equipment.
You always have advantage.
Always have advantage. Okay, so difficulty 0 anyway, doesn't matter.
Okay, I don't think I need to reroll either of those d20s.
They have a better rule in the Klingon book.
Yeah. Science and medicine for the ship.
Jesus.
Well, we got some momentum. Difficulty was 0. You have 6 momentum. You can ask questions. You can save momentum, obviously, whatever you want to do. Your scans come back. They appear to match pretty closely with all the information that you found in the that is correlated with the information that Eva has as she's assisting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. However, there does appear to be a number of major surgeries that have been performed on Alira. She has a relatively high level of cellular death that would be consistent with something along the lines of like maybe advanced chemotherapy within the last, say, year or 2, maybe 3. But you can definitely see that level of cellular damage.
So does it look like she's currently suffering, or is it just past?
No, it looks like it's past damage, but it definitely is an inconsistency with the ship's, what is now in the ship's records. So,
if you don't mind my asking, are you, or have you been ill?
She kind of smiles and kind of drops her head a little bit and like, no. It's difficult, Doctor. On my world, intelligence isn't only prized, it is rewarded, whereas those who struggle with intelligence are often disassociated. John is not fully developed mentally. As a result, it is determined that not only he, but his progenitors are inferior or defective in some way and are prevented from contributing further.
You're speaking of eugenics.
Something of the sort.
Daphne will shoot a glance at Dasavi. Clearly, she doesn't approve, but she'll say no more.
When it was determined that John was not going to be a higher functioning member of society, he was administered treatments, as was I.
What sort of treatments?
Forced sterilization, Doctor.
I suppose when the problem you have requires a hand. I suppose when the problem you I suppose when all you have in your toolbox is hammers, every problem looks like it can be solved by one.
Resolution the hard way, given the historical damage to your system.
It's not an uncommon procedure, but it is definitely one that leaves its scars.
It's involuntary, you say?
She just kind of nods.
So again, glance at Tasavi. May I have a word with you, Doctor?
Yes. Step into my office. Alira, we'll be right back.
Of course.
We'll set this to do the calibration scan and we'll step out. She'll say, I believe you have authority to offer amnesty. Such a thing is considered inhumane by the Federation. Since she's aboard your ship, you do have the authority to extend such an offer.
If she would accept it. And we run aground as in many frustrating situations, the various protocols and guidelines Starfleet has set down for dealing with non-Starfleet.
Well, I suppose what's done has been done. They couldn't make her any more sterile.
Right.
Still a shame. Didn't even try. There are so many ways to assist such a matter. To not even try is truly barbaric.
I agree. And honestly, John is... Of course, every culture is different, but seems like your average 14-year-old boy.
Well, how would you like to proceed in this matter?
How I would like to proceed, and how I'm obligated to proceed, are two different matters. I'll talk to the captain. Like you said, what's done is done. If she wishes to remain among her people, that's her decision. If she may well, the damage already having happened, there may not even be a point in offering sanctuary. But I'll discuss it with the captain.
I think you see Deffy get kind of like a smile on her face, like she has just figured out a secret.
Okay. It doesn't seem well. And she just kind of she cuts herself off and looks off thoughtfully for a minute and says, "I'll talk to the captain. Thank you." And she'll head back.
I just have something I want to add after that. But if you wanted mine was going to be a button on the scene. So if you have something else you want to do.
No, you're good. I was just going to have her walk back out to Alera.
Okay. Delphine is going to sit at the computer and, as a purely hypothetical exercise, see if it could be reversed using Starfleet technology.
Okay. We'll get to that. Starts looking it up. Ouch, my ankle. You step out to talk to Alira, the Dasavi. She's got a look on her face. She says, if there's nothing else, Doctor, I'm going to be late for my appointment with Mr. Tong.
Certainly would keep you. Today, out of curiosity, are there further consequences? Or is sterilization the extent of
it? There is a social understanding, but beyond that, there is no further medical procedures that are done, or I suffer no social stigmas beyond the normal. It has obviously affected other portions of my life, but it is what is done is done.
If, obviously, poor sterilization doesn't leave much implication for any sort of choice, but if someone were to buck the system, as it were, what would happen to them?
Well, it depends on exactly when they bucked it, I suppose. There are a number of recourses that the state has in regards to those who refuse the treatments. Loss of employment, loss of support in the systems, ostracized by certain sects of the community, an inability to rise through the ranks. A loss of the safety nets that are in place so that people do not fall below. But it is, there's also, I suppose, risk of imprisonment, but it almost never gets that far. There have been in the past executions, but most of our people have moved beyond that most of the time in most areas of our world.
And your people, how do they feel about this?
It is the normal way of things at the moment.
At the moment.
There are always undercurrents of change in our world, in every world, I think. There are far worse outcomes that could happen to some than simply not being able to have children. They don't take our children from us anymore. They do not execute them anymore. They do not force genetic manipulation on them. Well, genetic modification, I suppose. We are left to live our lives. There are some parts of our world that did not used to be that way. There was a drive to make corrections. But our medical technology does not really extend into the depths of genome sequencing to the extent that some other cultures do. There's often loss, sometimes agonizing loss after someone has been born and the genetic changes begin to be made. That is not done anymore. Our world is progressing, as all do. We are not perfect people. Our society is not perfect.
Some would say forced sterilization is hardly progress.
Perhaps. If there's nothing else, Doctor, I'm going to be late.
Apologies, please. Dismissed.
She nods, and there's definitely a sense of the more you talk about it, the more closed she becomes about it. There's definitely some trauma there, mentally speaking. But she nods and heads out of the room. Anybody else have one they want to do, or I'm going to jump to? I've got the doctor can jump into somewhere too.
Yeah, Savi's going to go talk to the captain, but we don't need to do that right now.
Yeah, we'll do a break scene before that. So Dr. Joanne is going to meet with Yezabeth, I believe, since Yezabeth and actually it would be Tong, I suppose, wouldn't it? It would be Yezabeth and Tong probably, because they are the two that deal with Eva the most.
Sure.
So the two of you are probably, Tong and Yezabeth are probably working on preparing some system that is going to be modified near the library systems, because Eva will be part of this. Will be you're changing Eva's home and possibly parts of her brain, so you're going to be dealing with some of that. When the doctor enters the room where you guys are working, you guys can have a little, if you want to have a setup discussion before that, you're welcome to set up where you guys are at. But you're probably in library access, which is the main area where Eva is accessed, I guess, for lack of a better term. Dr. Foxwell is not there. He is off doing something with the EMH and SSH programs, general maintenance stuff and all that. It's nothing like untoward as far as you're aware.
I think we've got a holographic diagram of the shuttle or of the ship up in the projected into the middle of the room. We've been going over Eva regarding significant troubleshooting issues that might arise and how to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
When she enters the room, Yezabeth doesn't look as awkward as she did during the transporter crew. Instead, she's much more focused on like the issues at hand and barely even acknowledges that somebody entered the room.
She comes in the room and Ensigns Yezabeth and Lieutenant Tong, is that the name? Forgive me.
Hello.
You are the resident ship's experts on the computer system known as Synapse, along with Dr. Foxwell, who
Synapse.
That's Eva.
Eva, do you go by Synapse?
Let me find it real quick. Synapse is... Oh, come on. Stand by. I will actually say what it means, because this is something Tong would probably know, but probably have forgotten. Where's it at? F3. It's an abbreviation. It's an acronym for the synthetic advanced cybernetic whatever it's the official name. She's the Synapse Mark 1 system, also known as Eva.
It's an anagram.
It's an anagram, yeah. It's the official designation that the the doctors have given the creators have given her, which she will say, and if I find it, I will tell you what it means. But
sure,
it's in the Bible.
See, I'm control Fing for Synapse, and I'm not picking anything up in the Bible.
Yeah, it should be there.
Oh, well. Control Fing for S dot Y.
No, I did not.
Try that.
Nope.
Wow,
we'll figure it out later.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm not getting it for Eva either, and I know she's in there. So
yeah. So Elizabeth will say, yes, prototype, unique in the galaxy.
All right, so it's Synapse -EVA Mark 1, synthetic integrated neural advanced pathway system, enhanced vehicle automation Mark 1.
Elizabeth is going to say all that because she remembers it, even if I don't.
Right.
And she'll say, yes, unique in the galaxy.
I think I prefer the name Eva. Eva, what do you prefer?
If I had to choose, I would choose Eva.
Well, there we go.
Well, they're both applicable.
Dr. Joanne, Eva.
It is good to meet you, Doctor, Eva says. The doctor kind of looks around, kind of not suspiciously, but uncomfortably.
We're still working on a holographic interface system and avatar of such. It would make these introductions a lot more personable.
Understandable. I am concerned that there may be some difficulties in integrating some of our new systems, some of our intended systems with your bioneural GelPEC network. And this, she looks at the thing, the Sung type network. Oh my God, what the hell did he call it? What was Data's brain? Positronic, the Positronic network.
Well, if you want to get technical, nothing can integrate with a positronic network. The positronic network is its own thing, but it can receive messages, or at least we can receive messages from it, allowing us to control the ship's systems, give it a holographic body, or let it talk. I mean, her talk.
It is an independent network inside your computer system. That is interesting.
Yes, exactly.
That is not technology that we are familiar with.
It's barely technology we're barely familiar with. I think you could count the amount of people who can truly understand a Sung-type brain on one hand.
Are either of you on that hand?
My previous host, Jorad, was one of the engineers who designed it.
I see.
I don't think he grasped all the finer details, but he knew it probably more than most people.
And you, Ferengi, forgive me, Mr. Tong.
Right. Well, I don't think I could make another one, but me and Eva get along really well.
Excellent. Well, then I will rely on you. And she pulls her head up. Dr. Foxwell again. I've not met Dr. Well, no, we met him in the shuttle bay.
He keeps himself quite busy. I'm sure that the two of us should be able to handle anything you need.
Yes, I will find him when I'm complete here. I have a series of tasks that need to be completed in disconnecting Eva's systems from the main power supply so that we may see what the unaltered efficiency of the vessel is. We did not take into account much of the optimization done by your AI system, and we would like to be able to get a baseline before we proceed.
Well, surely you don't mean complete disconnection.
It is by system only. Once the diagnostics is complete, she can be reconnected.
Okay, that should be doable.
Wouldn't it be more efficient to have Eva, help along with this than trying to cut her out of the equation?
It is possible. But again, we're looking for a baseline of what the systems would function, how the systems function without her optimization. She kind of has a confused look on her face, like the system, like Eva is there to make things more efficient. She doesn't understand the disconnect or the potential,
Well, I don't think there's much precedent for taking Eva out of. I think the baseline is to have Eva on. If Eva's not in the ship, then something's gone really, really quite wrong, and we're quite beyond baseline.
It's okay, Tom. We can put her through a level 3 diagnostic. It'll be essentially as a shutdown, and won't allow her to interfere with any systems that are running, but only in that engine, only in that part, only in that system of the ship.
Right. I mean, going system by system shouldn't be a problem. I just think it's.
Well,
it's just not necessary.
I think the goal is to integrate this technology with other Starfleet ships, and they won't all have Eva.
Right.
Excellent. Glad to understand. She hands you the pad. Please, this is the system schedule. Illyra will be arriving shortly to begin the procedures. I would prefer if you begin with the most critical system that I am seeing is long-range sensors. That way we are not blind for too long, or at least not limited in sight for very long. I recommend we route systems around, and she shows you something on the map, on the schematic of the ship to route sensors through this array so that we do not lose full fidelity of the long-range systems. However, sensors will be in limited visibility for some time.
Elizabeth starts biting her nail as she goes, "Oh, but the sensors, well, I mean, half the ship is sensors. You can't imagine we shouldn't need to take them all offline, would we?"
Of course not. It is mostly the long range, and it is the high fidelity long range sensors that we'll be taking offline primarily. You will still have your navigational sensors and planetary scanners, things of that nature.
She'll nod. She'll say, "Okay, yeah, I think we can work that out, right, Don?"
Yes. In fact, I've been working on a project thanks to some of the stuff earlier with the working on an idea about tying bypassing the sensors through external holographic communication arrays and then channeling them through the deflector dish. That should actually help offset some of that long range fidelity. It wouldn't be nearly the same, but it'd be better than nothing.
Elizabeth is immediately going to take issue with that, and we don't have to play it out. I think it's just a very technical conversation, but
right.
That's the two of them begin arguing about inane technical details.
Dr. Joanne will be like, "If you'll excuse me, I must I must find this Dr. Foxwell and speak with him, and I need to have a greater understanding of this synapse system before I can."
Oh well, you could talk to Eva. Nobody knows Eva better than Eva.
Yes.
Right, Eva?
Eva says, "Dr. Foxwell is an expert in my systems. However, you are technically correct, Tong. No one knows me better than I know myself."
There you go. No need to bother Foxwell.
Joanne's like, yes. Smiles, just kind of like an awkward, like uncomfortable, very uncomfortable smile and look on her face. And she just kind of turns and walks out of the room.
Elizabeth doesn't even notice it. Instead, she goes, "Why don't we just route the sensors through the captain's razor?"
Because that doesn't make any sense.
Neither does the deflector, Tom.
All right. With that, Dr. Joanne is going to go talk to Dr. Foxwell, which is an off-screen conversation, clearly. There's absolutely no reason for me to talk to myself.
My own entertainment.
Screw you guys. I'm going to play my own game now. In the meantime, Elira is going to head down to where Tong and them are, and Onat is going to go talk to the captain. Does anyone have anything before Dasavi talks to the captain?
No, although if you guys want to bring a technical advisor, I'd love to have the character in the scheme, but it's up to you.
We're talking to the captain?
Yeah. I mean, talking about, you guys are talking about the eugenics or something.
Yeah, they're talking about Elira's situation and not the ship stuff yet. The ship stuff does have to come up, though, at some point. That would be a thing, because you're going to take sensors offline. The captain probably needs to know that. At the very least, a conversation of the or a text message to the captain that the shield.
Yeah. How about we can say we've sent him a report, and that way it can come up in my scene.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. A report of what?
Oh well, I'll have it ding through when it comes up, and I'll tell you what it is.
So Yezbeth and Tong have sent the captain a report.
They will be. Yeah, I'm gonna have it happen while you guys are talking.
Oh,
okay.
So
I wanted to clarify because Dasavi's not sending a report. She is not writing a damn thing down.
Right.
About
Dasavi is actually going to talk to the captain.
Yes.
So while the two,
taking anybody else.
Right. While the two of you are talking, I will have the message arrive from Tong and Yezabeth as to what is going on, what they are going to be doing.
And I was just saying, if you feel the need to bring any of my characters in, I would love to be in the scene. But if not, that's okay too.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's a very private conversation, because if we're going to do some ethical fuckery, we're going to keep that off book.
Right. Who's Renewal? Renewal is you, right, Jack?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my counselor character.
Yeah, he will not be in this scene because that would be awkward.
You do have a Starfleet intelligence officer that might be useful.
Yeah, maybe.
Just putting that out there.
Let's start with the first conversation and see where it goes from there.
Okay.
So you arrive on the bridge, and I assume you have not given him heads up that you're on your way.
No.
So you arrive on the bridge, and Ambrose is looking over the security specifications, because he and Mills would probably be doing that as to what security systems are going to be modified and what systems would be offline and for how long, and that sort of thing. Having discussions of you've received reports where they wanted to take the entire phaser bank system offline, but clearly that's not something that anyone wanted to do. So they're trying to figure out how to schedule it so that you have rotating phaser banks going down at different times, so you never lose full phaser bank control, but you might lose torpedo control, and that's just the kind of that's what's going on.
Dasavi will walk over to Ambrose and appear to be engrossed in what they are engrossed in, and will telepathically say, "We need a word." Privately.
Yeah, I'll just type a few things on this pad and hand it over to Mills. See to it this is all handled.
Sure. Mills will
Doctor, I believe I need to have a word. Am I ready, room?
Yes, sir.
You head in the ready room. The door slides open and closed, and
Eva, activate privacy mode, please.
Privacy mode activated.
Thank you. So the Hadal were kind enough to give us specs on their biology, anatomy, common medical histories, things of that nature. And Eva needed a real-time scan to calibrate everything to our systems. At which point we discovered the Hadal, with their heavy focus on intelligence, perform forced sterilizations on any citizens they deem not up to standard, along with their
parents. Blink, blink, blink.
I assume our guests are currently in good health otherwise.
aside from evidence of significant cellular death, yes.
Anytime we meet a new species out here, there's always the risk of incompatible moralities, ideals, societies.
There is. This goes beyond being incompatible.
Starfleet has protocols, directives in place to help define our actions in these situations.
We do.
I don't like the idea of this any more than I believe you do. But are you suggesting any particular course of action?
At this point, I'm not entirely certain what I'm suggesting. At the very least, and I'm certain the Admiralty will not go for this, if they refuse to stop such barbaric and unethical practices, I think we should stop association with them. They can stand on their principles all they like, and I understand we have to stand on our protocols. But sacrificing our own morals for the sake of efficiency is, to put it bluntly, bullshit.
I can add that sentiment to my report.
Feel free to quote.
I'm sure I can have a conversation with Admiral Aralani and perhaps even others at Starbase 173. But if I know Starfleet, and I believe I do, the technological advancements associated with, well, our association outweigh the moral squeamishness of our Starfleet ideals.
No doubt.
If we didn't have so much to gain from this, I'm sure this would be an easy conversation.
Advancement can come from many places and in many different ways. I have no doubts, if nothing else, our incredibly skilled teams of engineers could reverse engineer whatever upgrades have been made from that point, or from this point. If that helps the argument.
This goes beyond just our ship.
No.
I could contact the Admiral and stand on principle and be ordered to comply, as I'm sure I would be. And I'm happy isn't the right word, but willing to go through that song and dance. But we're not in a position to pass judgment on their society.
At which point you get the message from Tong and Elizabeth stating that they will be taking the long-range sensors, the high-fidelity sensors will be coming offline. You'll be reliant on secondary sensor systems for the next several hours.
When it comes to eugenics, everyone is in a position to pass judgment. We've seen this play out time and time and time again through history.
There's a reason we have very strict requirements for the species that we bring into the Federation. Mm-hmm. I have no doubt that the Hidal will not be admitted into the Federation. But that's not going to stop our higher-ups from taking every opportunity to get everything we can out of them.
Right. And by continuing to associate with them, even if it is just to use them, as it were. Silence makes you.
I don't disagree. I could order the work halted, speak with the Admiral. I'll do so, because this is something I believe in. But I'm not sure we can take it any further than that. I can't throw this engineering team in the brig for our own laws and moralities.
No,
I can kick them off the ship. That's my prerogative as captain until I'm ordered by the Admiralty and or relieved of my command. Then we can have ensigns welcoming guests onto the ship in Starfleet's behalf. But unless you're suggesting we go renegade and take the Europa on a rogue one-ship mission to overthrow the government of the Hidal, I'm merely trying to temper your expectations of what we're actually going to be able to accomplish here.
No, I understand. I have no grandiose fantasy of affecting change on a large scale on a planet that isn't part of the Federation.
If somebody were to suggest to an affected party that Starfleet does not believe in such ideals and holds such ideals to be very problematic, if somebody were to suggest that further association would be difficult if a societal change is not discussed, if somebody were to inform our guests as to the policies in charge for diplomatic amnesty, asylum, assistance in our humanitarian practices, well, then perhaps those individuals may be able to carry those sentiments back home.
Point taken.
We can only do so much until we're asked. And then it comes down to how loud the voice is that's asking.
She doesn't really respond verbally. but you get a sense of resigned agreement.
There is a sort of bouncing off of that from Ambrose. There is a very concerted effort to stifle disappointment, shame. I'll do what I can from here. At the very least, I will voice my concerns and objections as to any further, more advanced association with this species, or at least its current government ethics.
Appreciate it, Captain.
There were other things I had to discuss with you, but I don't believe now is the time.
She just nods.
If there's nothing else.
No, not.
All right. Dismissed.
Thank you. We will exit the bridge and return to the med bay.
Okay.
Kostra.
Yes, Captain.
Put a pause on any current refit operations.
Are you sure, Captain? We're really getting somewhere with these. All right, if you say so. You're the boss, I guess.
I'll go over to my desk and start typing in the Admiralty.
All right. We'll come back to that conversation in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Alira and John arrive in the section where Tong and Yezabeth are. Alira kind of rushes in. John's right behind him, right behind her. He's clearly like still fairly asleep and his uniform isn't fully tucked in or anything like that. He's not as presentable as the rest of them have been. Alira says, please forgive me. I'm sorry, I'm late. I had to stop by the med bay and then I had to find John, who it turns out he discovered where your hollow suites are. And he spent entirely too much time and energy in there. Have we already started the work? I believe that Dr. Juan wanted us to begin by turning the high fidelity sensors offline.
Real quick, out of character, did the captain order them to put a pause as well? Or?
Not yet, but Coaster probably do that in just a second.
I mean, okay.
That's up to you. I mean, he directly ordered Coaster to put a stop to it. It has not. Okay. It hasn't gone beyond that.
I mean, I'm okay having that happen off screen. I just wanted to confirm whether it was also this upgrade as well.
Yeah, the intent was to stop everything.
Okay, in that case, she'll give an apologetic shrug and she'll say, "Captain's ordered to put a stop to the operation."
We're just reviewing some of the specifications and scheduling plans. I'm sure.
I see. Well, it puts you behind schedule, but it is your ship.
Elizabeth will say, "Well, it'll give us time to refine." That's always worth something.
Sure, I will be happy to answer any questions. I see you have the schematic of the ship up. Perhaps we can go over some additional refinements. There's always more we can do. So,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. John, please, just have a seat. The Ambrose, you get the Admiralty on the line. You get, well, Admiral Arlani on the line.
Okay.
Captain, what can I do for you?
Admiral, I'm sure you're kept up to date on our arrangement with the Hadal.
Yes. Captain Saval said that the upgrades to the Mackinac were far beyond what he expected, and that the Mackinac is running at a higher efficiency than it ever has.
I've heard good things, and the technical specifications and refitting schedule looks promising.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, my chief of medicine, what do we call
chief medical officer?
My chief medical officer has brought to my attention a troubling issue, one that I believe is incompatible with Starfleet operations, Federation operations.
Go on.
I'd be surprised if you weren't aware of this already. But we have gotten word.
Some knowledge that they have unique traditions.
I think forced sterilization goes beyond unique traditions.
He's got a look on his face like that is news to him. I would agree. There is evidence of this.
Yes. Our chief medical officer performed a scan voluntarily by such an affected individual. Apparently, it's a common practice among these people to cut the lineage short anytime there is a flaw.
It is a disheartening discovery. The Federation's position with this species is not on solid ground. We've signed a treaty for mutual exchange of ideas and information. That is something we will perhaps have to revisit.
I think a mutual exchange of morality needs to happen first.
I don't have to tell you, Captain, that it is not the Federation's policy or purpose to impose our will or morality on anyone.
No.
But disassociation may be viable. What actions have you taken?
I've put a halt to the current refit, one that I will submit to on moral and ethical grounds. It matters where advancement comes from. We've learned this time and time before in dealings with other races. There's a reason we didn't get in bed with the Dominion. There's a reason we There's a reason we have had trouble with the Romulans in the past. The Klingons, even before.
Even still. I'm not going to order you to do anything at the moment, Captain, but let me talk with the other Admiralty, with the Federation Council. We do have a treaty. It is signed documentation. we may be in a position where we cannot refuse, or that we may be obligated to provide our information and technology regardless. I will let you know. In the meantime, don't do anything that would further antagonize any of our guests at the moment, please.
I'll hold up my diplomatic responsibilities. My career may have gone a different path than I intended to when I first left the academy. The war saw to that. But I'm not a stranger to diplomacy, administration. There's no agreement that can't be rewritten. We are under no obligation to these people, especially if that obligation was not made with all good faith and with all information on the table.
Again, the Federation does not impose morality on other civilizations, Captain.
No, but we will stand for our own. Or I will.
Agreed. We'll see what we can do to handle the situation. In the meantime, do your best. Keep them comfortable. And I'll get back to you.
I appreciate that, Admiral.
Arlani out. Anybody else have one more scene before I wrap up? I have another scene that I want to do before we wrap up, but
I would like to see how Delphine is coming with that. Seeing if she can reverse the process.
Yes.
All right.
Because let's do that first, because that may alter what Dasavi has to say to Valera.
Go ahead and give me a roll. I'm going to say difficulty is going to be 3 because you're only doing research, you're not trying to actually do anything. Difficulty is 3. Xenobiology would apply. The ship can assist.
Would internal medicine apply?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to go ahead and spend 6 momentum.
That.
Oh, we do have that powerful boon that Ev bought us as well. I don't know what Jeff your plans are for that. But
that'll hold on for next session if we don't use it right now.
Okay. Right.
Since we're obviously not going to we're not going to be completing the session today. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus the ship got 1. You don't have any assist currently. 3 was difficulty, so you have 3 momentum. Theoretically, yes, it could be done. It would require replication technology that is currently theoretical in the Federation. The same technology that was used to replicate Worf's spine would be required.
I don't remember that episode very well. What did they need to do to get a hold of that?
It was an experimental thing that they were doing that Beverly kind of shot down and said, you can't. The doctor who was doing things was quite unethical in the way she was doing them. So the technology still exists. It's out there, but it's kind of like still in the super experimental phases because of the way the doctor did things.
So it only exists in the experimental form.
Correct. It would be something that would be beyond the normal kin of what the Federation would do, but it is theoretically possible.
Super convenient. You have a doctor who is all about experimental medicine.
So Delphine will take her research. I'm sure she likes to look through like medical journals and all that kind of thing. Did like the sciencey math to determine what was possible. And I think she is just going to forward that over to Dr. Oniet without comment.
Okay.
I think I think after a difficult conversation with her daughter and with the captain, she would probably making sure that nothing else needed to be handled, go to her quarters to meditate and pray.
Okay. With that, Dr. Joanne will be headed to the bridge. I will delete all of these because this will be the last scene for the session. Dr. Joanne enters the bridge. I assume that Ambrose is probably back on the bridge, having completed his conversation with the Admiral. Captain, I'm informed that you have put an end to, or a halt to, our upgrades. May I inquire as to why? We are on a schedule.
Doctor, let's talk about this in my ready room.
If you insist. She follows you into the ready room.
It's come to my attention that the way your people do things and the way the Federation does things conflict in matters that have nothing to do with your technical expertise or the job being performed now, but matters that are very important to myself, my crew, and the core of the Federation.
She just kind of looks at you, doesn't say anything.
As you said, there are subtle nuances in our cultures, in every culture. The Federation is not one to insist one way or the other as to these nuances. But if we do find an incompatibility, that is something we are taught to stand for, at least on an individual level. On an individual level, I understand that individuals are individuals, and the body politic is something entirely else.
You were referring to some cultural incompatibilities, Captain. Those have little place in engineering. We both stand to benefit greatly from this exchange of ideas and information.
What makes up a Starfleet starship is more than wires and LCARs and bioneural gel packs. A Starfleet ship is its crew, its meaning. It represents the very fiber of Starfleet, the Federation, and all the races that are a part of it. Introducing anything that goes against that diminishes the ship, the crew, our Federation. There's an efficiency beyond speeds, fuel numbers. I'm in no position to argue my point of view with you. I'm in no position to make any demands, and while you are here, you will be shown every hospitality. That is our way. It's something we believe in. But I won't compromise that moral fiber of my ship.
I see the reputation for the Federation's preachiness is well earned. Very well, Captain. If no further upgrades are to be conducted aboard this vessel, I will return to my quarters and await transport away from this ship.
I believe our superiors are having conversations at the moment. I would advise you not leave hastily. As I said, you are welcome aboard this ship.
Are we? We have moral incompatibilities, you say? Not that we have... I am certain that there are those that our people have overlooked as well. Our peoples are more similar, I think, than dissimilar, Captain.
I would agree.
But I am only an engineer. The body politic, as you call it, is something beyond my scope of expertise.
And I am merely the captain of one starship. But an exchange of understanding can start with individuals.
At which point, there is a huge explosion aboard the ship. The ship is rocked hard, lights flickering, power conduits exploding. You are both spun to the floor as the ship is careening off course. You are knocked against the wall, and some sparks, and some beams come down, and all the lights go dim. And I'm going to end it right there.
Can't reveal what caused it.
Not yet. That'll happen next session.
Okay.
Well, because mostly you won't know what happened until you have time to do some stuff.
Fair enough.
Ambrose would make sure to try to protect the doctor.
Yeah, it's
if a beam's coming down, he's gonna throw himself on top of her.
Gotcha. Yeah. We'll get to the after effects. Next session. There's more to be had. So on that note, what moment stands out most to you this evening?
Man, with the character whiplash again, Jeff, what are you doing to me?
I do what I can.
You can't throw that at Ambrose and then be like, "Hey, Tong, how you doing, buddy?" Oi. No, it was great. Definitely. Definitely. Topics got real. There was a vague things are going to get real announcements in the beginning, but perhaps going forward, maybe a more specific trigger warning announcement may be in order.
More will continue for next session. So
yeah,
there will be additional things added next session. So we'll get to
that. But I think so far it's been handled well. I will say Ambrose is, man, that is a tough line to toe as a captain of a starship, because I am very much on Evelyn / Dasavi's side, and the Midnight Tavern in chat. Actually, he's one of the giveaway sponsors. I believe says nuke from orbit. I'm like, well, all right, sure, but I can't do that as Ambrose.
You can. You have the power.
I suppose I could. Yeah.
Not if they take our phaser banks offline.
Let's do actually go renegade and perform a one ship operation to overthrow the Hadal. Sure.
Yeah, the Europa has the potential to destroy an entire world, but anybody else ever what moment stands out to them?
I really liked sorry, I know I've already been talking. I really liked the introduction scene, meeting the Hadal and getting to introduce individual characters. I think everybody had really good conversations showing off their particular characters in that introduction. I could see it as a scene in a Star Trek episode. Right. I thought that was really good.
I thought it was important to make sure that you actually got to meet these characters before anything, And
I'm glad we got to see more Kostra and have Kostra bounce off of Niall so well.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we'd gotten more of that.
We're not done yet. We got a whole episode left.
You've got two board engineers sitting in a room together with nothing to do right now.
And the ship just got some kind of massive disaster that just happened to it. So
sure.
I was fighting my instincts to throw out all kinds of contingency measures, like scrambling fighters and rerouting sensors and whatnot. But I'm like, no, okay, this is how drama happens in a show. I just got to let the bad things happen.
I had something. If you were going to send Jisa and Aura shuttle out, I had something that was going to happen that would have the same thing would have happened regardless. But it'd have been just that one more bit of tension.
Right.
If Jisa had been out there.
Mine is a small thing. I really liked the interaction between Tong and Yesbeth while they were talking with the doctor. I thought that was a really good interpersonal scene.
Yeah. I like seeing some of the smaller moments between the crew. I think it's important to see those moments because I think that's what really adds the character, adds the dimensions to the character that aren't normally there.
I do want to see more Yesbeth and Tong, and I think it went really well today because I think we got to see more Yesbeth and Tong than Hage and Tong, as we've seen in previous interactions.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I need to set these up so I don't forget. So Yesbeth and Tong are trapped in a room with Alira and John. We got not that one. We got Ambrose is in his ready room with Dr. Joanne. We've got Kostra, who I really wanted to see more Kostra in this episode, in an episode. So I thought it would be a good idea to bring him out. I know you wanted to have less Kendall and more Elizabeth and whatnot. So we got more Elizabeth, but I also wanted to I thought we don't see Kostra nearly enough.
Agreed.
I feel like we see Kostra enough. I don't feel like we need. I feel like a little Kostra goes a long way. So
that is true. He is a lot of character to deal with, but I don't think we've really had a lot to. I don't think we've seen a lot to be able to know the character real well. He's a kind of a one trick pony at the moment. I kind of wanted to see some more, and I think we got that. I think as my moment for the night, I actually really liked being able to see Kostra take pride in this ship and try to show it off a little bit and maybe flirt a little bit with this alien who's also, super into engineering. And I liked that. I don't know how much of that entendre you meant that laying pipe thing to be, but it was super entendre. I almost said something, but nope. It's Star Trek. And there's no way that character would get that reference anyway. Or even if it was a reference, there's no way she would get that. And this is Star Trek does not do that. Orville, I'd have made that reference.
It was unintentional, but I regret nothing.
I regret nothing. It was unintentional on Brian's part. It was fully intentional on Kostra's part. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Evelyn? To the what moment stands out most?
Yeah, I think the moment that stands out the most was not just the forced serialization, but the damage, the extent of the damage done.
Mm.
Like it's something that, at least the way described it or the way I heard it, was something very intensive and painful and overall damaging, not just let me take out your organs.
Right. So I went with, and this is a bit of the behind the scenes stuff for those trying to figure out where my mentality is coming from when I wrote this. During the 1940s, 50s, and mostly 40s and 50s, in both Germany and the US, there was a lot of chemical sterilization. And some of the techniques they used, especially in Germany around the 1940s, stuff that Mengele was doing, was extremely damaging. Like it's essentially just an overdose of chemotherapy in targeted areas. So that's kind of where I went with the mentality of biologically, everything is still there. It just nothing works anymore because of the amount of damage that was done. And that is kind of where what informed my medical proceeds for this episode. So
it's really jarring to see in such an intelligent based, technologically advanced society.
Mm. Yeah, that's why I did it. There's more come.
Yeah. No, not jarring in a bad way. Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it did its job.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. And like I said, there's more to come. I have set the stage for part 2. So
it's that intelligence versus wisdom attribute conversation
Well, you also
expand it out.
You also have this, intellect versus tradition and progress versus, tradition kind of thing. So, all right. Anybody else have a moment that stands out most? We'll finish up with that one. All right. Who do you think best embodied their character tonight? I am going to go with my personal, because I think no one's. I'm going to go with Kostra because I think I got to see something new from him. So,
thank you.
Anybody else?
I think Ambrose writing that line between "I'm a captain, this is what I have to do," and also "I'm a person, and these are my personal morals."
Yeah. One of the things I watched an episode of Orville the other day that I don't think they did the wrong thing, but I wanted to see more from the captain, more from Ed Mercer, in a stance of morality. In the end of the Two Topas episode.
Yep.
I understand that is why it wasn't there, and I don't think it was the wrong thing to do in the current climate of television. I like that Ambrose is willing to take a stand for his beliefs, even if it may not. He's not enforcing that belief on anybody else, but he's saying this is where I draw the line, and I like to be able to see that is a thing that we're doing. I had not really anticipated you doing that. Mostly because I don't think I really anticipated you guys to run with that revelation quite as hard as you guys did.
Yeah, I will say it felt like we ran with it a bit too much, and I'm just as guilty as anybody about that. No, I mean, I think we can all agree that it's disgusting and not something that we should be endorsing in any way. But I do think there's something valuable to having characters at least weighing it a bit more. And I kind of wish we'd had a little more weighing of the.
I think it shows a nice, strong moral conviction to the especially that the captain and the first officer are on the same page.
I think the contrasting discussion that we had between Desavi and Ambrose did exactly that.
Well, then maybe I'm just bummed I didn't get to be part of it. So.
That's fair. Possible. That's fair.
And there's more. Again, there's more to be had. So we're going to have more revelations next session. I'm getting all my warnings in now because I'll probably forget them next time.
I won't.
Anyway, so did you have anyone? What did you have for best character? Best embodied their character? Who best embodied their character? Ambrose, Jack.
Yeah, you can ask Ambrose. He's more here than I am. Apparently, no. I was going to say Evelyn and Desavi as taking that stand and having that conversation and being the very personable, very individual, very moral stance figure that I had to very reluctantly contrast with the protocol book.
Right.
I think there was a lot of good back and forth there. Like, you have to do something. Okay, what do you want me to do? Well, I don't know.
I don't know. What can you do? What is the limit of what we can do?
Yeah, exactly. I think that was a fantastic conversation. I think Evelyn did a great job of playing up that side and forcing me to play the other side.
Yeah. I like putting the crew in a situation in this case where Ambrose has the ability to take a stance, morally speaking, but less so than everyone else on the ship. Because in the end, it all falls on you. So I kind of liked being able to see some of that contrast. I like that Define especially was like, this is terrible. I'm going to fuck you people. I'm going to go fix this.
Yeah.
So,
well, I will say she didn't say I'm going to go fix it. She
researched the possibility.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So
an action was taken. I like that the action was taken. Is a progressive, not progressive. That's not the right word. I'm right. Proactive. A mentality, which I like. I thought that was really good.
It reminds me in feel very much like the Enterprise era episode, The Progenitor, I think it was, with the people who had like a male and female, and then there was that also third gender that was required for reproduction. If anyone remembers that episode, there was some of that feel to it.
I vaguely remember that episode.
Trip did something crazy, like he kidnapped the non-binary character and taught them how to read and how to be an individual, and it was this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see whether it be Delphine, or anybody, somebody to take a drastic, way out of line stance and do something like that. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah. If we're going to get into like what we would like to see next time, I will say one thing I kind of wanted to get into with Delphine is I feel like that the Denobulans have a very interesting take on this whole thing. Because
Denobulans are pro-genetic modification, so
right. So I think that they might take the idea of bodily autonomy to an extreme, even for humans.
Right.
So I think it'd be interesting for her to engage in this discussion at some point.
Yeah. Well, there's gonna be stuff happening in sickbay, so we'll get more of that.
And there's also the Bashir precedent that people in the Federation, they had to go around Federation law to do it, but Bashir was apparently born with some mental handicaps,
yes,
and then was genetically modified to well overcompensate for them. So the Federation, whether it admits to it or not, has if not the technology, the association to this technology to handle this in a much better way.
Well, they definitely have the technology.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a taboo. Like, it is literally a taboo.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things that you guys should be finding, and that should become, I was hinting at this episode, and it may become more clear, is that your medical technology is in a lot of ways more advanced than theirs. It's one thing the Federation is really good at, is the Federation is probably the most advanced civilization when it comes to medicine. So I think that was something I was trying to hint at, but not come out right and say, which I can do after the fact. It doesn't matter. But all right. So what did you or your character know? What did you see tonight that you want to see more of? What just in general, what themes or character moments or whatever that you saw tonight that you are looking forward to seeing more of that sort of thing going forward? That's a difficult question. So
I think we've already talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
In the other topics. I will say I was pleasantly surprised by Aralani's reaction to Ambrose taking a stand. Because I expected the Admiralty, as the Admiralty always does in Star Trek, to be like, shut the fuck up, sit down, you're a captain, do the job.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to get such a favorable response from the Admiral.
Yeah, I feel like I do still kind of feel like we needed a little more of a devil's advocate. And usually that's the Admiral's role.
Oh, I'm sure the rest of the Admiralty is going to play the part they usually play. But it was nice to see Aralani is like an actually decent admiral. Right. Somehow you get that extra pip, those extra bars on your collar, and you lose all sense of morality.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of evil admirals. So I'm like, all right, Aralani is going to be a good guy.
That was refreshing.
Aralani does work for people who are probably evil admirals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is kind of why I think it should be a player character who's the devil's advocate. But I don't know who it would be, and like that's such a
it's a hard stance to take, especially on a live stream, because you're taking one, you're taking a stance that's probably against yourself personally in most cases, but two, like, how do you advocate for Nazis? Like, it's hard to do that.
No, I know. I'm thinking mainly narrative wise, not ethically.
I have every intention of going the route at some point as the NPCs. Not necessarily the characters that you've met so far, but like there will be a point when the pressure, I will have to advocate for stuff that I do not personally believe in.
Sure. No, nobody's gonna, I don't think anybody would dare say that like you having characters voice those opinions is the same thing.
Have you met the internet?
Yeah.
Let me introduce you to the internet.
Right.
They're a great, horrible bunch.
It's a wonderful place to not live. All right. If you could change one thing about this session, what would it be, Brian? I know you already had your thing, but if anything else.
No.
Jack.
I would love to see more of Evelyn's characters. We didn't see much of them this session. I would love to see Mills or O'Connor get some airtime. Just gonna put that out there.
I don't think there was too much really for either of them to do in the moment.
No, this is a very
Dasavi heavy
episode.
Yeah.
This is a chief medical officer episode, which I wrote before I started working on this episode before the Roe v. Wade decision was come out, and two, I started working on this before we had even killed off Hage. So this is just, I finally got around to being able to actually like to do it.
Sure.
So.
I suppose what I want to say is if we end up having like divided scenes, I would love to see Evelyn have a character in more than just the one scene.
Yes. Yeah. So when we start the next session, it'll be very similar to that episode, The Captain's Day, I think is the name of the episode, where the ship's been hit and everything's offline and they got to get everything back together. It's not going to be quite as dramatic as that because the Enterprise is a way bigger ship. But a lot of that will be there. There's going to be a lot of, at least when we first start out, there's going to be a lot of separation between the characters, and we'll have to work towards that in addition to the other things that are going on. So
I think in episodes where that is the main point, like it sounds like the one coming up and last episode where we were very quick cuts between all of these different places. I think that felt right, but I actually really, I think I do prefer on a normal episode more of this pacing where you're dedicated to seeing a set amount of characters. I don't think everybody needs a character in every scene. I don't think we need to see every character every episode because it just kind of feels like we're shoehorning things in. Things are getting too far spread out. And let's just have individuals have their own story development without trying to mash everything together.
Yeah,
I don't think we need to see like every character every scene, and not everybody has to have a character in every scene. But I do think if the ship is going to split up, and we're going to have different plot lines all converging at certain points.
Yeah,
I think I think we should seriously consider making sure that Evan's character, I don't mean to speak for.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from, and it comes down to the way I like to do it is the way I try to do it. Anyways, I try to make sure that everybody has. I don't tell you guys what characters you can and can't have in scenes. Like you guys can decide what you want to do pretty much every time. Sometimes scenes dictate this character should be there. I like to keep it that way because some episodes it doesn't feel right to have a character that like just Jisa has really no place in what we've seen so far in this episode. And I think there's probably a place for Mills, at least for Mills, if not O'Connor. Maybe O'Connor over Mills even, but I don't know how much room there was in this, what we've seen so far. I did have an intention of having them, Nyala was going to go talk to Mills at one point about the weapon systems, but it didn't feel right to get it in there. Mm-hmm. And I liked the chemistry, the unforeseen chemistry that we had between Coaster and Nyala. I did not plan that. I like that chemistry happened, and I changed on the fly to making that more a focus because I really like what we had there.
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you. When it comes to next session, it's pretty easy for us to say Mills was walking down the hall when everything went to hell.
Well, she's on the bridge right now. Probably she's probably the person in charge of the bridge at the moment.
Mills has with the explosion. Mills absolutely has to do.
That's fair. If that's going to be a set piece, then great. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Tonight there were no scenes that I felt like I should have had a character in that I didn't.
Yeah.
Everything felt like it should have run the way it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think there was either. I can't think of any specific ones. I'm just saying as a general sentiment. I love characters that I want to see more of them.
Right. Ev, do you have anything you want to change about this session?
No, I don't think
so. Jack, anything you want to change about the session other than a better spoiler, or not a spoiler warning, but a better warning at the beginning?
Trigger warning.
Just having all of my brain cells intact for all of this.
That's legit.
I'm actually, I just sat back and let Ambrose be Ambrose, and it feels weird, like complimenting myself, but Ambrose really took over there, and I appreciate him doing that.
Right.
I sound like a crazy person, but because that whole moral fiber of the ship thing, I was surprised about that speech.
Yeah.
No, it's been a taxing time for me with this charity. It's something I'm glad to do, but man, has it been a lot. So I wish I had a little bit more to give for each of these characters. But I think it went well. I don't think there's anything I would do differently. It's just
right.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say
more of it next week.
I do want to say that we will see more of this next week, and I think I want to give a warning now, and I'll give it again at the beginning of next week. There will be more discussion of bodily autonomy and rights in the next session, in particular, the right to life. the discussion will get possibly more intense. I don't know what's going to happen yet. I have a direction. I don't know where you guys are going to take it. So we'll see. I think it's surprising timing. Actually, this episode got to be done during your donation run. That was not actually intentional. So I'm kind of glad it worked out that way. I believe that, my position is pretty clear, and if it isn't, we'll make it clear later. But I think absolutely donate to Jack's charity that's going on. I think it's an important thing that we need to support on any level that you can, even if it's just tweeting this out and making sure that other people can see this. These episodes are going to be up. They can be viewed anytime over the next week and several weeks, and until I get them edited. I'm trying to make sure they get edited. The live episode is available until I get the edit finished, and then the live goes away and the edit comes up in its place. And I'm trying to get the edits out now on a schedule of every Tuesday, so you can watch that episode edited, and then you can come back to that evening and watch the live version of the next episode. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Again, if you have the means to support this charity that Jack is working with now, or really give to whatever charity you believe is the most appropriate for what you believe in. There needs to be people who will stand up and fight for the things that we believe in, especially with the loss of Roe v. Wade. These are real things that can affect real people in the real world very soon. And it just so happens that it came out at that time
right now.
So
do very much affect real people in the real world right now, very seriously.
And it can never believe it can't happen here, because it can, and it has. So with that in mind, we have never really gotten that political on this show, but this is something that I do believe strongly in. I know Evelyn believes strongly in. Clearly Jack does. Brian, we haven't discussed it, but I'm certain that you do in some capacity or another. So again, that's my spiel for there. If you like the show, please, even if you're not able to donate, share, like, subscribe on Twitch, YouTube, or check us out on the podcast, which is the far more well-known aspect of our show. You can also find us on Patreon if you like what the show is doing. Support our Patreon. I would donate money from the Patreon to the cause as soon as I can figure out how to do that on Jack's stream. I tried to do it earlier and I couldn't figure it out, so I'll do it later. But so anything you do with us, like, support the show. If you don't have the money to either donate to the charities or to support the show, tweet us out, share it with a friend, tell somebody that you like the show. Whatever. Spreading
the word goes a long way.
It goes a long way.
Because even if you can't donate, if you tell 5 other people, they tell other people, somebody's going to be able to contribute.
Yep.
Abortion aid funds in states where it's now illegal is also a good place.
Yes. Mm-hmm. There are, if you can't do with this charity, find the charity that fits best for you, that is local to you, that you need, and help where you can, when you can. Take a stand and do whatever you can for as long as you can, for as many people as you can, wherever you can. Rule 303, right? Anyway, that's it for me. I don't have anything else. Do you guys want to add anything else before we go? All right. Nope. It has been a fun session. I'm hoping to get a lot more of this next session. I think it's going to be some heavy discussions next session, so be ready for that. And we'll see you next week.